Now we're ready to begin working on the last major bit of functionality for the Share site. So when I click on one of these thumbnail images, I want to show an image view dialog that includes the page size version of the image and the image metadata, including the description. And if you're the owner of the image or you're an admin, you should be able to edit all that metadata, and you should also be able to delete the image. So before I do that, there's one change I want to make. So if I go to the stored procedures and edit fetch gallery, I want to add description to the select clause here because this will give me everything I need to display my image view. So I'm going to say go here, and then I'm going to check that by hitting F12 and going to the Network tab and hitting Reload. And then I'm going to find one of the fetch images here, fetch gallery rather. And under the Response tab, I see that there's a description attribute which is empty for all these images because I haven't set descriptions for any of them yet. So that seems to be working. And that should give me everything I need for the next part. So let's start by creating just the skeleton of a page view dialog. So I'm going to create a new PHP file called ImageViewHTML. And I'm going to start by copying one of these contents. Doesn't really matter which. And I'm going to get rid of the CSS and the HTML and the JavaScript. And I'm also going to get rid of all of this stuff for now, except for loadable content. I'll have to put some of it back in, but I'll figure out what. And then I'm just going to create a simple div tag here. And the ID is going to be ImageViewDialog. And the text will be ImageView goes here. And then I'll also add a title here. And then the JavaScript, I'm going to define a function, show image view. And this is going to take a parameter, an image set, which is going to be one of the objects that was returned in the gallery. And all I'm going to have it do right now is get the image view dialog and show it as a dialog. So now in my gallery content, here in Update Gallery, this is where I create each thumb. And I want to add a click handler to each thumb that launches the gallery view. And so to do that, I have the thumb right here. I'm going to go ahead and say thumb.click is a function, and it's going to call show image view. But I don't want to just call that show image view. I want to load the content first. So we'll show image view, and I'll pass in image set. And before I do that, I'm going to load content. And the path is assets includes image view content.php, and then the callback function is going to call show image view of image set. So if I've done everything correctly, the image set that I click on should be passed to the image view. And then I'm also going to add one more line here. I'll say console.log image set, just so that I can see whether I'm getting it or not. So let's go ahead and reload. Show the console. Click on this image. Oh, and I need an underscore there, so I mistyped. Like so, that's what I want. So click. So I just clicked on the right, yeah, it matches. Right, so I'm getting the right images here. 1031 and 42. Good. So let's go ahead and provide a way of closing this. So I have these the little close boxes disabled by default, but here I actually want it. So in my image view content, in this dialog column, I'm going to start fleshing this out. So I want it to be modal, and I don't want any closed text. And I've calculated the width already to be 835.2. And this is 800 wide for the image plus the margins on either side and the padding for the dialog itself. And then I want to position this just under the top of the window. And the reason is because some of these are really long. They're going to be longer than a page, and so I don't want to let it get centered by default. I always want to sort of put it right up at the top, but then offset it a little bit so that you can see the nav bar behind it. So position is going to be my top at the Windows top plus 20 pixels of window. So that's how you do that in jQuery UI. And then to clear the to set the closed box just for this dialog, but not for any other of the dialogs that I have, jQuery UI dialogs. So I'm going to go ahead and reload and click. And then I'm going to right click here on this image view and inspect. So here is the image view dialog. That's what I supplied. And then this whole thing gets wrapped in a UI dialog title bar. And inside that UI dialog title bar is also a UI dialog title bar close. And I want to display this thing as a block. So what I did to change that in the other ones is, for example, in login content, in the CSS, I set UI dialog title bar close to display none. So here I want to set it to display block. So the first thing I want to do is get the parent, and then under that I want to get the UI dialog title bar. And then under that I want to get the UI dialog title bar close, and then that thing I want to set the CSS property display to the value block. And to To make this a little easier to read, I'm going to just go ahead and break this down. And then tab it over. So if I've done that right, I should have a close box on my dialog. And actually, I don't like the way it's tabbed over, so I'm going to go ahead and that looks a little better. So let me go ahead and reload and click. Great, so now I have a close box. But if I hit logout and then sign in, no close box. So this is working correctly. Okay, so now I have the image set and I have a dialog with a closed box. Let's start fleshing out the HTML. So let's start with the image view name, and I'm going to put that in an H3. And then let's have a table. For the metadata. And that's going to include the owner and the sharing and a delete button. And then we'll add some table rows. Actually, just one row. So here's where the owner is going to go. Here's the sharing. And I'm leaving these empty because I'm going to set them from JavaScript depending on whether the owner has access or not to edit. And then finally, a delete button. So there's the metadata. And then the next thing I want is the image itself. And I'm going to just put an image tag here with an ID equal image view image. And then finally, I'm going to have a div for the image view description. And this is going to be rich text editable for the owner and for admin. So that's the outline. And then let's go ahead and set some of those properties from the image set. So I'm going to get rid of that console log. So let's go ahead and set the name to image set dot, and here I'm going to need the name key. And let's go ahead and get that. So name key is in the share DB. So load, require once, assets includes. Actually, I'm already in the right directory here, so I should just be able to load shared database. And then we'll set name key to share DB name key. And then I'm also going to need owner key, and I also need a description key, which I don't think I have yet. So I don't have one of those, so let's go ahead and add it. Okay. And then I need the image ID key. Actually, image set ID key. And I think that's it. Do I have sharing? No, I need sharing as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and set ImageView name to be imageset.nameKey. And for the owner, so that hash sign because it's an ID, for ImageView owner, we'll set the text to be imageset.ownerKey. And let's go ahead and add owner colon space to the front of that. Then for the sharing level, let's go sharing colon imageset.sharingKey. And then I'm not going to do anything with the delete button just yet. For the image, I'm going to set the source to be page image slash plus image set dot image set ID key. And then for the description, I'm going to set the HTML to be image set dot description key. So that should be enough to start with. Let's go ahead and try it. I'm going to go ahead and reload. Click. So let's go ahead and inspect. I got most of what I wanted, but I'm not getting my image yet. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So that's not getting set. So ImageViewImage.source is that. Did I get any kind of error? Yes. Oh, source is not a function. Let's try adder source comma that. There we go. All right, so there's my image. Let's try another one. And then good.